You do not have to be jolly this holiday season. You do not have to be jolly this holiday season. Hello, friends. There are so many ways during this holiday season that many traditions create an expectation that we should be happy and jolly. And it's the most wonderful time of the year. Except sometimes it's not. If you are somebody that is going through health struggles, be they physical health struggles or mental health struggles, if you're a caregiver walking with someone through difficulties and dealing with all of those stresses, if you're somebody who is facing economic uncertainty because of the loss of a job, which is happening to many right now, this is hardly a jolly time of year. It's pretty dang stressful. If you look at the world around us right now, it's really not an appropriate time, I think, in many ways, to feel jolly. We can still and we should still try and experience joy when we can in the midst of hardship, in the midst of injustice, in the midst of our own personal tragedies. But this expectation that we should somehow just get over it is a really strong one and a strong impulse. And we can sometimes feel guilty, like we're the ones letting people down. If you are grieving in particular, this time of year, many just celebrated Thanksgiving. We've already had the reminder of the empty chairs at our tables, or the one empty chair. The holidays can be an especially painful time, especially that first time. The first Christmas, the first Easter, the first Thanksgiving, the first birthdays that happen after losing a loved one are particularly hard. But they do stay difficult for many years to come. Some choose to find ways to remember those that they have lost in the holidays. And I know of people who light a candle, who do all kinds of things, some that even keep the empty chair there at the table. Acknowledging that emptiness. The world is a really dark place right now. There's a lot of injustice happening. We're seeing our immigrant neighbors being targeted. We're seeing trans and other LGBTQ youth in particular being targeted. And I will not keep talking about that. Somebody the other day said I should talk less about that, but no, justice is an important part of our spirituality. But if we look at the darkness, pagan traditions of indigenous people around the world, the Christian tradition, the Jewish tradition, celebrating the retaking of the temple and a time of darkness, and there was only enough oil to light the candle for one night, and the candle burned for 8. Our Hindu and Sikh and Jainist siblings, many of them celebrate Diwali, which they've already celebrated this year, but again, it's something that happens toward the fall. It happens as we enter this dark time of year. My Danish ancestors and Danish people that, which is part of the culture that I come from, have Hygge or Hygge, some people might say, which is a time where we try, when it gets this dark, to create coziness and to do lots of things with lights and remind us that in these darkest times of the year, that there's still room for hope and there's still room for light. This is something that we need. And this is something that crosses so many of our spiritual traditions. But if you look at what to the Hindu or friends who celebrate Diwali, it's about the triumph of good over evil. Hanukkah, in many ways, is about that. And if we want to look at the Christmas story, really look at the Christmas story is about a family that was forced to relocate, albeit maybe temporarily, and have their child born in a dirty barn or a dirty cave or other place that's sometimes debatable where they actually stayed. And then a genocide that happened because of that. And this family, Jesus' family, had to flee the country they were because they were killing firstborn children. Oppression, especially of the stranger, this is age old. This was a dark time for the world. The time that Jesus was born. Christians are celebrating Advent this time of year. This Sunday, as this airs, will be our first Sunday in Advent. And a big part of that is is that anticipation, the waiting for the light. That in dark times, we anticipate, we look forward to that light of Christ coming into the world, and the light of goodness, of hope, of joy to come through us. But sometimes we don't feel it. And that's where, for many people, connecting to a higher spiritual power is really helpful in this process. It's not saying everybody has to, but think this season, though, about the darkness. It is okay to have darkness. I actually believe that Advent should be a time where we not celebrate, but we acknowledge the darkness. I was listening to U2 the other day, driving down to be with family for Thanksgiving, and recent U2 song where Bono says, it's in the darkness that we learn to see. And the next line is, don't underestimate the light that we can be to each other and to the world. But it is okay if you are hurting, if you are sitting in darkness this year. And the other big expectation this time of year, especially around Christmas for people who celebrate it, is this idea that everything has to be perfect. It has to be just like the ones I used to know, as the song says. But sometimes it's never going to be like the ones we used to know. And the older we get, the more sometimes disappointment and hurt we feel. And the more we feel like maybe we let people down. If we didn't do everything right to make this the most special Christmas ever, if it's not perfect, then why do it? This December, I'll be talking a little bit more about that. And for Christmas Eve, I have a message about that, about a time when I felt like I definitely wasn't up to the Christmas spirit or up to being who I needed to be for my loved ones. So we'll be talking a little bit more about this, but I want you to know that you have permission to feel bad. You have permission to grieve. You have permission to feel angry at the state of the world or heartbroken. I know I go back and forth between those two sometimes. Particularly in Minnesota here, where we're now seeing some target of our Somali siblings, which is not okay. This is not okay. If you follow the Judeo-Christian tradition, we are to offer hospitality to the outsiders. And I see our Somali siblings, my time in healthcare, they are doing so much care for our seniors, so much work in our hospital systems, and what's happening is unfair, and it is wrong. And I have to admit, I will grieve that a little bit this holiday season. And I have not had the best few months myself. So I know it's not going to be perfect, and it's hard for me to give myself permission to not be perfect. But I'm going to do my best to give myself that permission and that grace, and I hope that you will do the same for yourself, and that you will do the same for others, that we not only stand up for people, but when the people in our lives are hurting, give them that permission to not be happy. Give them that permission to cry, to feel hurt, to be reminded of all the things that they've lost. It's not easy. It's not easy walking through this world, and it's definitely not easy when we feel these expectations to be more than we can be. Sit with your grief, sit with your pain, sit with your hurt, and it is okay. And remember the story of Jesus, the story of Hanukkah, the stories even behind Diwali, behind all of these things, is that the darkness is great. I want to end. Eleazar Fernandez, who's a United Theological Seminary professor and guest preached at a church I worked at recently, last year around, said, here's what he had to say. Yes, the darkness is deep. But we have to decide, is this the darkness of the tomb? Or is it the darkness of the womb? Some of that is up to us. Beautiful things can still be reborn out of darkness. And I believe in our current political system that will come. I'm not sure if the geese agree with me, but that justice will come. And a better world, a better kingdom will be created. So, however you're feeling dark this year, know it's okay. And think about what it means for the light to come back into your life. The geese definitely have a lot to say today. If you are also having any sort of mental health crisis, which can come up during the holidays, please reach out for help. Remember, the suicide crisis line nationwide here in the United States is 988. If you feel like you are in crisis and need that, please do. Because you belong here. You are important here. And you are worthy of love no matter who you are. I love you all. I hope that you have a wonder-filled season, no matter what way you celebrate the light and the darkness. May we be that light. Peace be with you. Walk in beauty. The peace of the wild geese to you this day.